Welcome back to Smarter Than Yesterday. Today's episode is a brilliant example of what it means to be an everyday athlete.
We're joined by Tim, whose life spans frontline medicine, global travel, family life and endurance sport. Now, Tim is about adapting, staying consistent and finding smart ways to train around a real world demand.
Morning, Tim. How you doing?
Yeah, morning, guys. Really good, thanks. Yeah, really good.
Good. What have you been up to this morning?
Up early,
Yeah.
as I normally am. Down the gym. I did a little 45 minutes run on the treadmill and a little bit of mobility work just to kick off the day, followed by my normal breakfast and coffee.
Lovely.
And here I am.
We'll get into the breakfast and the morning routine.
Yeah, and it's still only 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's still only 10 o'clock. That's good. I got to say though, was it too cold this morning, or what's the treadmill about?
Yeah, a bit frosty for me, so I thought I'd bail out and do it on the treadmill.
Yeah, it was nippy out there this morning.
Yeah, I don't trust I've got slightly dodgy ankles, so yeah, icy roads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Play it safe, get in the gym.
Yeah, try and protect him.
Yep, absolutely.
That's a coach saying that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Tim, mate, for people that don't know you, just give us a little introduction about who you are, what you do, your background, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so Tim, married, two awesome kiddies, amazing wife. Kiddies are almost 10 and 6. Been married for getting on 14 years now. Been with my wife 20 years now. Long time. And I work as a global product and business development manager, and that's for a medical device company. I've been doing that for getting on 7 years now. But prior to that, I was something called an operating department practitioner, which pretty much no one will have heard of. The closest kind of job description I could give it is an anaesthetic nurse. So I did that in both the NHS and the Nuffield Health Group. I'm still qualified, although I seldom do any shifts now. I might do the odd bank shift here and there just to keep my hand in. But alongside that, I also worked as a remote area medic. So I used to provide medical support to people or organisations that work in far-flung places around the world. So organisations like the BBC Natural History Unit, oil and gas companies, TV media crews, and it was normally either in high-risk areas such as Iraq, North Africa, or it was in really cool places where TV crews are filming some really awesome documentaries.
Yeah, so I'm right to interrupt you there and say you've worked with David Attenborough.
Yeah, so I've worked on 3 jobs with David Attenborough, which that's definitely my career highlights. I've worked in exactly. I worked in Patagonia twice and Kenya with David Attenborough in the BBC Natural History Unit.
Awesome.
And if those that are into motorbikes and that sort of stuff, I've also worked with Guy Martin, who's actually also an endurance athlete, which not many people know. He does a lot of 24-hour mountain bike stuff. So, yeah, I've been to jungles, deserts, up mountains, on boats, oil rigs, everywhere. Yeah. And then settled down, had children, and had to get a grown-up job, which is what I do now, basically.
What do you do now?
I work for a company called Celox, who make trauma products predominantly for military, police, ambulance service. I've been there for about 7 years now. Awesome company, really enjoyed my job. It enables me the flexibility to fit in training, family around a flexible work schedule, which probably, if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be able to commit as much time to training. So very fortunate.
Yeah. And going back to some of those environments, and they're quite high pressure, I guess, especially if you're looking after sort of celebrity profiles.
Yeah.
What was it that sort of you've got to be the calm one in those situations, haven't you? In essence, and what was it that kept you calm in those situations?
Yeah, I mean, if the risk assessments and the health and safety stuff has been done appropriately, then the medic shouldn't be busy doing medic stuff.
No.
So 80% of the time I would chip in with other tasks, and it might be being a backup sign man or general dog's body carrying kit and that sort of stuff. And then there's a 20% of the time where it's kind of like panic stations because something bad has happened or is happening. But like anything in life, that's where you resort back to your training. So in high stress situations, provided you've done enough repetitions of something or you've experienced similar things during training, you can resort back to that, and it becomes part of a process rather than panic stations run around like headless chickens. So I've kind of over the years, I'm quite good at remaining calm and functional when things might not be going according to plan. But that's years of practice and exposure, which is probably why I was reasonably good at that job. So yeah.
Class, mate. I'm a big David Attenborough fan. Me, it's something about. I can try and do his voice, but yeah, that's not going to go down.
I mean, there's many sort of pinch yourself moments working with David, and the one that springs to mind is myself and a guy called Bill, who was the sound guy for the BBC Natural History Unit. We were sat in the back of a safari vehicle, and the driver of the vehicle was having a conversation with David, who were in the seats in front of us. And they're asking about why some zebras have thick stripes and some have narrow stripes. And David began to explain why that was the case. And I just closed my eyes for about 10 seconds, and I could have been sat at home on the sofa watching the telly. And then I opened my eyes, and I'm literally in a wildlife plane in Africa with two zebras in front of me and David Attenborough literally talking to this guy. And I'm just like, how have I ended up here?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
A lot of people on the telly say, like, he rocks up in the desert, takes a quick video, disappears, and then sits at home in his comfy chair and then talks about it. But obviously that's not the case.
No. I mean, an example, it might be of interest to the listeners, how these things kind of, how they function and operate. And we're in Kenya for about 3 weeks, living in military style tents, basically big canvas tents, very posh. There were double beds in there with a hot water bottle in, so it wasn't like roughing it by any stretch of the imagination. But bearing in mind at the time, David was in his 90s, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying, but at that time his knees were wrecked. He was waiting to have bilateral knee replacements, so he was in a lot of discomfort a lot of the time. But is a super tough, resilient guy. Wouldn't complain about it, and would try and pick up massive, heavy boxes and stuff. And I would constantly have to say, "Don't worry about that. I'll get that," without offending him, because he's just a good guy wanting to help. But you're out 10 hours a day filming in the heat, and never complains. He'll have a beer with you in the evening around a campfire. In Argentina, I watched the Rugby World Cup semi-final with him, just me and him. England v South Africa. We had about 3 beers each before we left Buenos Aires and went down into Patagonia. So yeah, very normal guy, but can mix it with different social circles with knuckle draggers like me, the Queen, Barack Obama. It doesn't matter what the audience is, who they are. He's like a chameleon. He can adapt and just a really nice,
awesome, mate.
Nice guy.
What, I guess in 2 circumstances then.
Yeah.
A professional working one with him, and then you've touched on then going to watch rugby with him.
Yep.
What would be something that you learned that you've adapted into your life, do you think, from him, and how he approaches life, and a character like that? What have you learned from him?
Yeah, I think that the main thing is be a chameleon, basically. I try and use that throughout my life, and that what that really means is be adaptable, be willing to change, adapt to the situation, the scenario, the people you're with, and that just means that you get on better in life, not just with work colleagues or that kind of setting, but just life in general, just people you meet on a day-to-day basis. And don't be a dick, basically. I think it boils down to really treat others as you want to be treated yourself, and he emulates that. So that's what I try and do as well.
Yes. So with those people you've been about, with the areas, the positions you've been in in work. How have you taken those lessons from that and put that into kind of training then?
Yes, no, good question actually. So I was doing a medical cover job for, it's probably, I don't know if it's the hardest, but one of the hardest running races in the world. It's called Ultra, and it happens in the foothills of the Himalayas in northern India, in a place called Ladakh. And it's a 72-hour race, and it starts at about 3,500 meters, ascends to about 5,600 meters, and back down 3 times over 3 different peaks. It's total 333 kilometers long, and daytime temperatures were about plus 35 degrees C, nighttime temperatures minus 12, and oxygen availability at like 5,600 meters. That's higher than Everest Base Camp. When I put what we call a pulse oximeter on to measure your oxygen saturation levels, mine is down at about 68, and I was in a support vehicle.
Wow.
And those that were taking part were literally running, albeit very slow on the inclines. But some of them had an oxygen saturation less than 60. Some of them actually
the safe level? Is there a safe level for saturation?
It's individualized, but the rules of the race are that if you are to have supplemental oxygen, you're out of the race. So from a medical perspective, that puts me in a dilemma, because what you generally need, if you've got low oxygen saturation levels, is oxygen, and to descend quite quickly, where you've got more oxygen available in the surrounding atmosphere. But you're also not allowed to go in the sport vehicle, because that means you're out. And these people have spent thousands of pounds to get there, have trained all their life to go and do this. So there was a really cool dude called Grant, who was he's a super yacht ship's captain, basically, and for fun does these insane challenges. And he was actually getting towards the top of one of the peaks, and I could hear him coming from way off, because he had pulmonary edema setting in, which is basically fluid build up in your lungs. Not good. So my immediate thought,
you could hear that.
I didn't even need a stethoscope. I could hear him from meters away, his breathing. It's like breathing through, like if you blow into a milkshake through a straw, that bubbling sound. That's what it sounds like, his breathing. It is, yeah. So I was like, look, we've got a few options here. You're at the top of the mountain now, so we need to get back down the other side fast to descend, to help offset the side effects of pulmonary edema, basically, and get the fluid out of the lungs again. Normal situations, that would be a medical evacuation. That would be stop, oxygen, get in the vehicle, descend, recover. There are medications you can give as well. But anyway, I mean, this guy's like the definition of nails. And so we came up with a plan that we would descend, but I would walk next to him on the descent. And every 100 meters, I was going to recheck vital signs, basically. One of the other things you've got to check for is any cerebral stuff going on. So have they got altered mental status? Because that's a very bad sign. So every 100 meters, do a quick stop check. But he improved as he went down, and the pulmonary edema got better. And then obviously we'll start again on the next climb. But that's just an example of some of the people that do these events, and observing these people, I'm like, oh my God, how can you be so tough and resilient to be able to push yourself to these extents? And that was just one story of many of the people that took part in this event. And the people that actually completed that, they did it, the winning time was 72 hours, and they had a total of 3 hours sleep over 3 days. And I'm just like, that is, I mean, I was exhausted and I was in the car, and I probably had about 7 or 8 hours sleep total. Me and my friend Nick, who was the other medic with me, we had a great time. But the medical risk was super high. So it's probably the first exposure outside of a military setting where you had sole responsibility of people without any background support. It was me and Nick with a Medbergen and our knowledge, and we had to make the ultimate decision on whether to pull people out the race and not pull them. But it was that race where those that were taking part, there was a commonality across all of them. They're either high achievers, either in work life, or they had some sort of previous trauma in their life, whether it's a childhood trauma or something else. But there was something in their life that set off a light bulb moment where they wanted to go and set themselves challenges. And I don't know why that is. I'm still trying to work it out, whether it's escapism, that you can just go and focus in on one thing, and that's, you're in a race, that's all you've got to focus on. Get to the next checkpoint. And you can block out other signals in your life. Is it a type of coping mechanism, or is it something else? And it'd be interesting to see what other people's thoughts are that take part in endurance events, whether they use endurance activities for similar things, for either mental health purposes, to block out the noise of the outside world, because it's so busy nowadays, all this stuff. So is it to block that kind of stuff out? But each of them were like PhDs, business owners, super yacht captain. There was a lady who was absolutely nails, who was from like a communist background and escaped and met her partner, who's a running coach in Chile. And she got really sick. She got D&V, so we had to put her on a drip. And sensibly, well, the sensible thing would be not to take part, but there was a 111 kilometre version of the race that you could do, so she ended up doing that, but completely drained of nutrition, fluid, electrolytes. So we had to keep a close eye. But she went and smashed it, and talk about tough and resilient. And but again, that there was some childhood stuff in that story, and escaping communist regime and all this sort of stuff. And everyone had this story, and me and Nick were like, this is just awesome to be around. Really challenging job medically, but experience those altitudes even without running. I got out the vehicle just to go and speak to this grant, and I could feel my chest starting to tighten, and I'm just like, how these people are doing this is insane. But yeah, hopefully that gives a bit of a talking point, or a something for the viewers of this, or those that are listening, to take away and think about, is what's the why behind why people get into endurance activities. And that's what stoked my curiosity in endurance events, was very normal looking people were able to achieve very extraordinary things. And I'd had quite a skewed version of high performance. In a tangent to my working life, I was also in the Army Reserve, based here in Hereford. So I worked on the periphery of the Special Forces group, and it's quite normal for Special Forces guys and girls to go and achieve amazing things, climbing Mount Everest and all this sort of stuff. But that's expected, because they're those personality types, type A, very alpha type people, whereas these people weren't. And it was quite refreshing to see that normal everyday people that didn't look big and tough and all the rest of it, and didn't have that persona, were achieving these things. And that was really refreshing to see not those types of people achieving excellence, if you like. So that's what's got me into this, basically. Yeah.
So, like, obviously that's a big chapter about your work life and what got you into sports. So, you've done rugby, football, you've gone through it all, but triathlon was kind of your go-to. Why triathlon specifically then?
Yeah.
You do a little bit high rocks as well, but triathlon's kind of...
that's kind of my focus. Yeah. Like, I've always been into like multiple different sports growing up at school. If there was a sport going on, I was playing it, whether it was football, rugby, basketball, cricket, athletics, cross country. I did everything basically. And I did all of it to quite a decent standard as an amateur, I guess. So I've always been quite fit. But because I did so much, I think that's what's caused a lot of my injury issues in this part of my life now, because I didn't rest. I was always doing something. And, I got to quite a good standard at football, had trials at Villa. I was at a West Brom Development Academy thing for a year, and took it really seriously. And by about the age of 16, didn't get taken on at West Brom. And that was kind of the moment where I thought, if you haven't made it by 16 as a footballer, it ain't going to happen. So I got a bit fed up. So I'd put so much time and effort and energy into trying to become a professional footballer that obviously didn't happen. So I then switched to rugby. And I was okay at rugby. I wasn't great. I was quite fast, so I used to get stuck on the wing and just run in a straight line, basically. Terrible at tackling. But yeah, I did that on and off for about 10 years and picked up loads of injuries playing rugby. Shoulder injury, twisted ankles, broken ribs, knocked out loads of times. So, decided to knock that on the head. And then just continued with basically running and gym work. And at the time, being part of the Army Reserve, they keep you fit and you get to take part in lots of kind of hard exercise that's challenging. And when I left the Army Reserve, there's a bit of a void really in terms of hard exercise. There wasn't really anything challenging that I could focus on. So I ended up having a chat with a guy called Ben Probert, who's a good friend of mine that also used to play rugby and also riddled with injuries as well. And he said, I've just joined the Tri Club and was pretty average at cycling, running, but was a really good swimmer. And in the space of about a year, I noticed this transformation in him where he just became like a machine. I was like, how's he gone from that to that in that space of time? So I thought, right, I've got to get involved in this. And that was, 3-4 years ago now. And because I'm such a crap swimmer, I was like, this is a really good challenge for me. So I've got to learn a new skill. Running's running for me. I can run at a set pace. I know what that pace is. If I go any faster, my tendons flare up and it all goes peak-tong. And I know that I can grind things out running. I've got quite a good engine. I can just grizz it out. Whereas cycling, swimming were new things to me. So I thought, well, these are new challenges that I can take on and really enjoy the process of following a system and getting these incremental improvements over time. And it gives me structure and focus. And that's my personality. I like structure. I like routine. And I like having little micro challenges throughout the year to keep me on the straight and narrow, if you like. Yeah. And that's what I love about triathlon, because it's multi-sport, it's varied, and the health benefits of doing it are like unbelievable. I've noticed a huge improvement in just my overall health and wellness of doing the endurance-based activities, supplemented with a little bit of like high rock stuff. Yeah. There's something else called Deadly Dozen, which it's another version of high rocks, just different brand. But I try and get one of those in a week because it's quite good sort of threshold VO2 type training, and it ticks that box where if I've done lots of zone 2 stuff, it can get a bit boring. So chucking in one of those a week, you can get out a bit of testosterone and give yourself a bit of a thrashing.
Give it a few hours.
But because of my injuries, I've got to be quite careful with that. But I can probably talk about injuries when we come to it. But yeah, so that was the journey leading up to triathlon. Really.
Yeah. And so you spoke about triathlon.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the hat. Tell us what you've done since you got 3 years ago. You joined the Tri Club. What have you done in those 3 years?
Yeah. So the first event was the Hereford Sprint Triathlon, and my swimming was that bad. And it's only is it a 400 meter swim? I think
400.
Yeah. And I was absolutely blowing. I got out of the pool, and it took me about 9 or 10 minutes, which is super slow. My heart rate was 174 beats a minute when I got out of the pool. So that shows how bad I was at swimming. I'm not much better now, but...
How much swimming had you done up to that point then?
I at that point, I struggled to swim 100 meters front crawl without being completely gassed because
it's
my
actually
technique.
something though that people, like, you learn swimming in school, don't you?
Yeah.
And then you leave school and you just don't swim, do
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
And I remember when I first came back to swimming, I was the same, 100 meters, and I was gassed. I was like, how could I run like a marathon, but I can't swim 100 meters?
Yeah. And it was the frustration that there's all these other people that didn't look like they were in particularly great shape physically, but don't judge a book by its cover,
Oh, no,
who were flying past me. And I was like, how are they so quick and like not even breaking a sweat? So that was my first event. It was the Hereford Sprint. I don't know. I think it took me like an hour and a half or something, which was probably average for somebody that's getting into it. And at the time, I thought there's no way I could do something like a full Ironman because I wouldn't have been able to finish the swim in the time limit. But I set that as like a bit of a target and be like, right, I'm going to complete a full distance triathlon in the next like 12 months, basically. I committed to that and I sought out a coach to put me on the straight and narrow. So I started working with Ed, who you'll both know. And he gave me some really good coaching on, particularly around swimming and technique and that sort of stuff, which really, really helped, to be fair. And a long story short, I did a 70.3, and I opted for Swansea, which is probably the hardest 70.3, and I loved it, but it was the bike kicked my ass because it's quite a hilly bike. It's about half the distance of Wales, but a similar kind of profile. So lots of, hills basically, and I'm not great on the hills when it comes to biking. But I got through that okay in the time that I wanted. And I thought, right, it's not impossible. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing, believe in the process. And I then did Outlaw half, followed by Outlaw full. So that was my first full distance. And the swim was cancelled. And most people would be like, oh no, the swim's cancelled. I was like, yes, bingo. So it's basically a really long duathlon, basically, that one. But that was a flat course. And I would say anyone that's looking at doing a full distance, that's quite a good first one to do, just to use it as a practice, basically, to get your nutrition sorted, how to hydrate, and just how to grind things out and how to pace yourself. And, that's a really good event, and I'll probably go back and do that again at some point. Did a couple of other races in between. I did Ironman Swansea again. That was really hard. I found that harder than the Outlaw full, and that was last year, and that was because of the temperature. It's 30 degrees, and there were, I think somebody unfortunately died during the swim on that one. And there's lots of people going down with heat exhaustion. So a bit of maturity kicked in there for me, where on the run particularly, I just stuck to a pace, and I could see the whippets that are flying. About an hour later, they're keeled over at the side of the road because they pushed too hard. So I was like, I'm just going to sit at this pace and manage it. And that was hard. And then, the crowning moment for me was Ironman Wales back in September, which I never thought I would be able to have done 3 years ago. I thought that would have been an impossible challenge. And for me, it ticked all the boxes because it's a pretty brutal course, particularly for me because I'm not great on hills on the bike, and it's just non-stop hills. And I suffered with a real bad flare-up of Achilles tendonitis in both of my ankles, so I couldn't get any proper distance running in beforehand. And if you don't know the profile of Ironman Wales run, it's like, I think, is it 400 or 600 meters of elevation over the course? So it's quite a hilly marathon to do, especially after doing like 2,500 meters of cycling. But also on the swim, I re-tore my rotator cuff about halfway through the swim. So I had to do half of the swim with a torn rotator cuff, which was really painful. And it was uncomfortable on the bike then, because obviously your body weight's pushing down your shoulders a bit. So it ticked the boxes for me because it was a proper like grizzed out event, and I was super proud of myself doing that because it was a proper grizz. cardiovascularly, I felt good.
Yeah.
I finished and I thought cardiovascular, my engine feels great. That could keep going, but yeah, my body had enough by then. It's starting to fall to bits, and I literally, if you look at the photo of me on the finish line, I'll show you. I'm actually staggering because everything's just gone to mush. My ankle tendons don't know what they're doing. Yeah. So yeah, that was the big one for me doing that, and I enjoyed it so much because it was so challenging. I'm doing it again this year, but this time I'm seeking the assistance of Darren to make sure I'm properly prepared for it this time. Yeah, I'm just going to try and beat last year. Yeah, loads of hill work basically.
It sounds simple though, doesn't it? When you actually start getting into proper coaching of like, okay, it's a hilly course, so I've got to do a lot of hill work.
Yeah,
people will just avoid it, won't they?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I had a friend that I think she did Kilimanjaro this year or Mont Blanc.
Yeah,
and she said, I just did an hour on the Stepmaster every day. And it's like, that's proper training, isn't it? And it's like it doesn't need to be hard. It's just it's got to be specific to your goal.
It's got to be relevant.
Yeah, absolutely that. Yeah. And I'm just because of I'm a short ass and I'm quite heavy for my weight, which doesn't lend itself well to hill climbing. So
descending does.
But yeah, the downhill, I'm like a cannonball downhill. You don't catch me downhill.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant, mate! I love it. I'm really pleased to be working with him. I mean, Tim's a great bloke, as you can tell. So it's so interesting, isn't it? Sit here all day and talk to your mate. But how I know how I'm going to structure your training.
Yeah.
How do you then, a little bit before then, I obviously start coming to me for coaching. How do you fit your training around your busy life, your young family, your travel? How does that fit into that?
Yeah, I'm super lucky. My wife's very understanding, and it's good that she's also into her fitness. So she does a lot of high rocks and running. So I think she appreciates the benefits of fitness training in general. So we kind of both look at our diaries for the week and we see how we can fit our training around the kids and around our work. So that's the first thing. You've got to have, I think, understanding friends. And I've got a really flexible work-life balance. Like I said, the company I work for, great. My boss is awesome. I don't have to be at a desk 9 to 5. He's very much of the opinion, as long as the work gets done, you're a grown-up, structure it to suit you, basically, as long as the work gets done. So I generally try and get up early, and I find that training first thing before everyone's up and about works best because it's a good start to the day. It reinforces something called habit stacking. So if you start the day off with a good habit, you're more likely to do other good habits. So, for example, put all my kit out the night before on the banister, shoes are by the door to go. You haven't got to think about anything. You don't suffer with decision fatigue. Or what exercise am I going to do? What time shall I go? All that's done the night before. So you can get up, have a wash, do your teeth, have an electrolyte drink, and then you're off to the gym. Get your workout done, get home, hopefully in time before the kids go to school, so I can see the kids before they're up and about and off. And then my mental focus and clarity is much better if I exercise in the morning. So my first few hours at work are much more productive. So you can see that there's this theme of positive habits and like optimal outputs, if you like. So by midday, I've probably achieved, it might sound a bit big-headed, but I've probably achieved more by midday than most people have done during their whole working day. I've got up, I've exercised, and I've ticked off the most important things that I need to do in work.
Yeah.
And then midday, you can kind of have a bit of a...
Seems like you just read my book, mate. You read one of my chapters. There's a chapter in that says exactly what you're talking about. It's about almost, if you train in the evening, you're giving yourself more time to give yourself that excuse not to do it.
Yeah.
If you get up and get it done, you tick it off.
Yeah.
You can't have that excuse. And like you say, I get up and I train, and to get done in the morning, like you said,
Yeah.
the mental clarity, that the day just feels so much better.
Yeah.
It's just done, isn't it? It's out the way.
Yeah, and I've tried training in the afternoons or in the evenings, and things will get in the way. That there'll be something that happen at work. There's a last minute meeting that's put in, and it gets in the way of the time you're going to go and train. So for me, and everyone's different. Get up early, get your training done at the start of the day. It sets a theme then for the rest of your day, I think.
How do you think you balance it moving forward? I know Darren is probably going to end up putting in some double session days in with you.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that you will be able to get that session done in the evening if you have to, or would you get up earlier and do 2 in the morning?
No, I'd carry on with my morning session, and I'd probably do the second session late afternoon.
Sure.
I'd try and do it like a 6-hour break between sessions if I can. But it just means being organised and pre-planning. So I do something called time blocking, which is I get my calendar up on my laptop, and I will literally block out a set time to achieve a particular task.
Yeah.
And it's not just work, it's my personal life stuff as well. So I know.
You'll talk about this all day now.
Yeah. I'll show you my calendar app.
So, yeah.
I've been blocking him out.
Yeah, so it's basically allocating a set period of time to do something, and then commit to it. Because if you don't, like I said, work, family, stuff consumes and prevents you from doing it. So
it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like I've got this secret for people, and it's a calendar on your phone.
Yeah.
It's literally a calendar on your phone, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I also have respect for people like Darren who can do it without a calendar.
Yeah.
But I don't function like, honestly, you'll see I'll show you mine after, and after this, it's got me driving to my granddad's to pick him up, then going out for lunch with them, then coming back, then I've got my cooking my lunches for work next week, and then I've got my programming later, and it's like, if I didn't have it, and I've been through, I don't know, I worked with a sort of therapist last 2 years ago to work out, is that the right mindset for me, and is that the right thing?
Yeah.
It's just so strict and rigid to it.
Yeah.
But it is. I wouldn't function without it.
Yeah. And to a certain extent, I'm probably the same. Like I said, I like structure and routine, and I think the busier you are, I would say the busier, because busy's not good most of the time, but it actually prevents you from being busy because you're task focused for a set period of time. If not, I'd be running around trying to multitask, and multitasking is not an efficient use of time generally.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in time boxing.
I think
the way forward.
It's important that it's in the personal time as well, because my partner will laugh, but when I know, so she does shift work, so I will block my diary when I know I'm having time with her.
Yeah.
And it allows me, when I'm in that space of her, to be with her and not think, I've got to be doing this, I've got to be doing that. Because I know when she leaves, say midday the next day, boom, straight back into it, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can resonate with that. My wife's actually a therapist. And because both the kids are starting to emulate me and my wife Anna in terms of their interest in exercise and sport and stuff, they're into all these sports clubs, gymnastics, football, whatever it is. So we've got to be structured and rigid, because if we weren't, so who's taking the kids to football on Saturday morning? And they're both doing football on Saturday morning now, so you kind of have to divide and conquer, and it's like, well, when are we going to fit our exercise in now? And you can't be selfish and go, well, I'm training for an Ironman, so I'm more important. It's like, well, their Saturday football's just as important to them, so we have to make the time for them as well now. So if I wasn't that rigid, it kind of wouldn't work. Things would overlap and people would forget what they're doing. And so it works for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily the only way, but
I think that's an important thing to say, though, isn't it? Because one of the questions we wanted to ask you was if someone out there was thinking, life's just too busy, I can't train.
Yeah.
How do I craft the time? And it, like you say, it could be that diary thing, couldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Would that be your bit of advice for people?
Yeah, I get asked this at work when I sort of told people what I was doing, and we all know there's nothing worse than starting to chat to somebody who's training for an Ironman, because that is literally all they'll talk about. So I'm very mindful of trying not to go down that rabbit hole of talking for ages about I'm training for an Ironman. Yeah, basically. And people at work are like, well, how do you fit it in? And I'm like, Well, you start off doing X number of hours per week, and you gradually build, and you peak at whatever it is, 15 hours, 20 hours, whatever you can fit in, basically. And they're like, well, how do you do that then? And I just talked them through my process. I said, well, get your calendar out, look at your day. What time do you get up? What time do you go to bed? Get your 8 hours sleep in if you can. Then you've got to start looking at how much of your day is wasted doing shite.
Yeah.
TV,
Social.
on your phone. And I was like, I guarantee you could get 2 hours out of your day if you were to be rigid and replace bad or ineffective habits with something a bit more constructive and positive. And pretty much everyone on the planet can squeeze 2 hours extra out of a day. And it's not even extra, is it? It's just reallocating the time.
It's reallocating
and
dropping things.
Yeah, it's like anything. If you want to achieve something, you will make time for it.
Yeah.
But
I feel like we need a whole day on calendar blocking. A whole
podcast.
On calendar blocking.
I won't be here.
That one's I am.
That's the one I want with me and you.
Yeah.
We'll be boning over in each other's calendars.
Yeah.
But that's how I sort of suggest people to approach things. If they're wanting to try something new, dedicate a period of time to it each day and make it. Doesn't have to be big, grand. It's baby steps that, or eventually a routine is born from little habits, isn't it?
And people say to me, like, oh, why do you have time to do all that kind of stuff? I've got 2 businesses.
Yeah.
I train myself. I've got kids, got family.
Yeah.
But I still find the time, and there's 24 hours a day, 7 days in a week, and I don't have a diary, but I allocate my time well.
Yeah.
I think, and I still have time to sit down and do nothing.
Yeah.
But those people that are sat down doing nothing, that's the time they could be doing something else, isn't it?
Definitely. And that's just a mindset thing, isn't it?
Oh, I haven't had time today. Well, what have you done tonight? Well, I've been watching telly since 6 o'clock till 11.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on then. You have had time then.
Yeah.
So it's about prioritising what they want to do, I suppose. And if that's their priority, fair enough. I'm not saying that, but for training purposes, that's the time.
And it's very applicable this time of year where people will be setting, goals for the new year and all this sort of stuff. And one of the things I say to people as well, it's great looking forward and setting goals. That's important. But one of the things that I like to do each year before the end of the year is do a past year review. So I go through my calendar again and I look at all of the activities I've done, and I get a piece of paper and I split it in half. I put positives on one side, negatives on the other. And each week I highlight the positives, negatives. And at the end of that, I then look at it and say, basically, what are the 20% of things that created the most positivity, happiness, momentum, good outputs? I'll commit to doing more of that. And then I look at the 80% of the negative stuff that just either pissed me off, wasn't constructive, time sink, morale hoover. I put people in this as well, positive and negative. It's like, well, I'm going to spend less time with those people and do less of those activities. And then hopefully each year you're doing far more of the 20% good things and a lot less of the 80% nonsense that's just noise that isn't doing anything. So that can be quite useful for people, I think. And then ask yourself, why is it you want to achieve that goal? Because people go, I'm going to go and run a marathon. So, well, why do you want to run a marathon? Do you want to? You have to sort of ask that question a few times. Why do I want to do a marathon? I want to be a runner. Why do you want to be a runner? And get to your own individual, why is that the case? And then you can do small little wins to prove to yourself that you are now becoming that person that you want to be. So
it's a big word, that the why. It's a massive word to start with. And I think Sean Conway uses it quite a lot, and he uses the phrase "remember why."
Yeah.
So it's the why to start with, and then remember why. So when you're training, it's remembering those whys, why you've started, why you're training, getting involved.
Yeah.
So it's a massive word.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah. So moving on then to some injuries. So we've talked about your injuries quite a lot. He's injury riddled.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about your sports, and that's kind of contributed to a lot of your injuries. How do you manage those injuries mentally? What gets you kind of bouncing back from those injuries? And how do you decide when to kind of push again and pull back?
Yeah, I've got another long list of things I could go over here, but yeah, I mean, from about the age of 15, I've had, dodgy knee or knees, multiple twisted ankles, Achilles tendonitis on both sides, torn rotator cuff on this side, got an imbalance in my hips. And I've only just discovered some of those things, like the imbalance in my hips and stuff like that. So I'm in the process now of correcting a lot of these problems, and I think my hips are the root cause of probably everything else. But it's taken me this long to figure that out, basically. What that means is that I just have to be a bit more thoughtful in how I train and making sure that I'm not overdoing it, basically. I'm quite prone to not resting sufficiently and getting back to it a bit too soon, or at an intensity that's too high.
I suppose that's the job of the coach, though, isn't it, as well, is to kind of pull that back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a quick example. Hope they mind me sharing this.
Please do.
Yeah. What day was it?
Thursday or something.
Thursday, I think it was.
Yeah.
And Tim added on a few extra K, and I was like, Tim, nasty coach come out and said, why, Tim, there's no need to kind of add that on yet. Let me be in control of that.
Yeah.
But, and that's where the coach can pull that athlete back.
Yeah.
Sometimes to make sure you are fully recovered and make sure what the training you're doing is correct. Yeah,
absolutely. And a lot of these injuries are chronic, long-term things that I've had for 20 years. Some of them, it's like they're not going to be fixed short-term. And I've come to that realization now that I'm not going to bounce back from these things now. So I haven't been able to swim since Tembe, which is over 3 months now, and it's driving me bonkers. But I know that's just part of the process, and you've just got to listen to your body, and that's part and parcel of doing endurance sport. You are likely to get injured at some point. Yeah. Same as any other athlete that's doing something on a daily basis. You will get niggles, and you've got to manage it, but you can train around it as well. So I can do modified exercises on my shoulders. Doesn't mean I don't train shoulders. In fact, I'm training my shoulders more because it needs more stability work. But you train around the pain, and you can do, regressed exercises and not focus on, the big compound movements. It's the little intricate stuff that you probably need to work on. Same with my Achilles tendonitis. I generally didn't do any strength work whatsoever for my calves, ever. And I'm like, that's probably why. They're overused and the tendons are weak, so I need to stretch them off and loosen them and strengthen them. It's like common sense when you think about it, but sometimes you need to pause and reflect and go, why do I keep getting knackered all the time? So,
and you're working with physio at the moment to get all these?
Yeah, and it's more to try and get a diagnosis, because there are so many good resources online now that, and because I've got quite a good anatomical understanding. I've been in sport for like my whole entire life, so I kind of know where to look for resources. So from that strength conditioning rehab stuff, I've got quite a good background, and there are a few websites that I like, Squat University and a few others that are really good, solid source of information. So yeah, it's stop training like a bodybuilder, which is what I've traditionally done, and now start training like an athlete. And it's yesterday on the bike, for example, I did a session on Zwift on my watt bike, and it's the first time that I felt level on the saddle. It didn't feel like I was hiked up. My one leg wasn't like bowing out as much, and I was like, this is finally starting to work. My hips are starting to, same as the run this morning on the treadmill, I was like, this feels smoother, and my tendons have warmed up faster than normal. So I was like, I'm taking that as a first sign that it's starting to balance itself out. So,
and we've said it before on a few other podcasts that strength and conditioning should be one of the first things that people put into their training, but it's one of the first. It's the last thing they put in. But again, you're also saying it that it should be in the training. It should be something you concentrate on, and then everything else will be better.
Yeah,
I'll get more benefit from it.
Massively so, and that's the session I try and do in the morning, is get my strength rehab, prehab, whatever you want to call it, get that done, because for me that's really important, because that'll enable me to do the longer or more intense stuff, 6 months later. So it's a bit like a savings account, isn't it? You're making these tiny contributions that are going to compound over time. And it's like, that's the analogy that I normally say to people who are starting off on these things.
But it's doing the right strength conditioning, isn't it? Because, like you said, and I've had it before, hey, we're blokes, we want to look good on the upper body or whatever it might be. And I think, I need to do an upper body session. But that's it. No, it's not helping my running. I want to go lift some big chest or big shoulders, and it doesn't help, does it? And
not at all.
You've got to really, because that might be the extra session you do in the week that actually makes you injured the next week. Because if you're tight on your chest or tight on your shoulders, and then you go out for a run, you're not going to run properly. And then you're going to get a niggle, and then it's going to become an injury. So you really have to, listen to the coach, but also listen to yourself and learn. But I think that comes in time, doesn't it? It comes with knowing that I did this one time, and you did a self-analysis, like you said, and you go, that didn't work. Okay. Let's reevaluate next time, basically. And that's a smarter lesson, isn't it?
Oh, massively so. And if I had my time over again, I would have sought help from a subject matter expert much sooner. Like in my teens, I'd have been like, I'm getting these recurring injuries. I'm tight here. What do I need to do? If I'd have done that 20 years ago, I would not have these things. I'm
I think people think that it's a extra expense to life, doesn't it? But health is wealth. We hear it all the time, don't we? And I think like even when we talk about our coaching, it's the equivalent of like a pint of milk a day or something like that. And if you actually, again, it comes down to your personal priorities, doesn't it? And if you can invest in that, you can invest in yourself, and you're going to end up being less injured, less moany or whiny or whatever it might be to your family or to your colleagues, and just be a better version of yourself.
100%. And it was frustration out of being in a constant cycle of not being able to perform at the standard that I think I'm capable of, particularly in running, because if I go above a certain pace, flares up, that's me tendonitis for 6 weeks. And I've had this recurrent process for quite a long time now. And it got really lower back pain, and it just puts the whole balance out. It's like, had I sought coaching sooner, I'm convinced that the time to improvement would have been massively improved. And that's part of the reason why I came to you guys for coaching, really, is that because I have to make quite a lot of decisions at work, I'm quite prone to like decision fatigue, because you have to make lots of decisions. So this is why I try and throw in systems and processes, and that's what you guys can do. You can take that burden off me, so I don't have to think. It's like, that's what I've got to do today. Let's go and do it.
That was the exact reason I signed up with Darren, and I think he can remember that conversation. It was that I want someone to take this off me, and let them do it. Like you say, you wake up, wake up in the morning, you look the day before about what you're doing tomorrow, but it's done then, isn't it?
And it's all the other things. It's the more intricate details of the zones, and how long you should be in this zone. And I would go out and go, right, I'm going to go for a run and not go above 151 beats a minute. And it's like, well, that's great as a zone 2 run, but you can't do zone 2 runs only for the next year. You've got to mix it up a bit, and it's that level of detail that Darren can bring, that he has extra knowledge in that space that I don't, which is it's why he goes to coach, isn't it? It's like, why don't more people?
It might be,
So I've done it with work. I've gone and sorted out, right, when I started my job, I had no sales management background whatsoever. So I was like, well, what do sports people do? They're going to get a coach. So I was like, I'll go and get a coach. And then within a year, I've been the most successful salesperson in our company for the last 5 years, not because I'm amazing at sales. It's because I went and sought out a really good coach who gave me a blueprint, and then I've kind of modified it slightly, but I stick to a system. And that, if you've got a good system, you don't even have to worry about the goal, because you will achieve that if you've got an effective system. So I don't get too hung up on times and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, if I know I've got a good system, I'll put in a good performance. And for me, I'm not going to be like an age group podium finisher. So I don't get hung up on times. It's just like, can I beat last year's time for the same event? That kind of attitude.
Your own competitor or athlete against yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Against
No, exactly. That's the beauty of it, is that you're competing against yourself rather than others.
Cool. Let's move on to some quick fire rounds, mate.
Yeah.
So this is a quick fire round. There's a few questions popping at you.
Yeah.
Quick fire.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
this first one, I think you've already answered it. What's one session that you want to protect daily, weekly?
My Achilles strength session for the calves.
Pretty obvious answer, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And I can say it again. Strength conditioning should be the first thing people put into their diary, calendar, block it out. Yeah. So,
Get in that calendar.
I'm there.
We'll get him on a calendar this year.
Yeah.
That's my goal this year.
Your present too.
Yeah.
No, I'll just block him out now. Tim, what's one piece of kit you rely on when you're travelling for your training?
Foam roller and a resistance band. I know that's two. But
Yeah, well, I know, but
so I can do that in a hotel room.
And is that for your prehab stuff?
Yeah.
And you do that you can do that in a hotel room. Can't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
I think that's one thing. Not off topic of the quick fire here, but people think that the rehab, gym session, run. Oh, it's got to be an hour. It's got to be 2 hours. It's got to be a full session. You can do it in your gym in your hotel room in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
As long as you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you've got it written out and you're ready to go. And it's that preparation, isn't it? So
Yeah, totally. And it's portable, it's lightweight, and it works around your schedule. A lot of the time I try and fly with minimal stuff. So if I'm away with work, I was in the US, I don't know, October or whatever, and that's my go-to, was a resistant band and a foam roller. I could do pretty much most stuff with that, like complete body workout in half hour.
Yeah.
What's one lesson endurance sport has taught you about in life then? So you put in your normal everyday life into your work life. So your work has put that into endurance. What's endurance put into your work in your life?
The benefits of structure and routine and consistency, I would say. They overlap each other, and that the traits that you have as endurance athletes will benefit you in your day-to-day work, and vice versa. Yeah.
Smashing. Last one then to wrap it up. What's one food or piece of nutrition that you stick to when life gets busy?
It's my breakfast. This is my super breakfast.
So
it's
eggs, bacon, sausage.
Yeah, I know. I wish. Yeah. 2 scoops of kefir. If people don't know what kefir is, it's fermented yogurt. It sounds disgusting, but it's full of prebiotics and probiotics. It's really good for your digestion. 2 big heaped scoops of Greek yogurt. I've replaced full fat with 0% fat because I was having a little bit too much fat in my ratio. So that's the yogurt-y kefir stuff. A scoop of whey protein isolate, chocolate. Give that a mix. A quick drizzle of honey. Spoonful of organic peanut butter. Again, mix that all in. Porridge oats, mixed berries, mixed nuts, and a chopped banana. Mix all that up. It's got shitloads of protein, decent amount of carbs, and a shitload of healthy fat. There's about 1,000 calories in it.
I was going to say, how many calories?
It's about a bazillion calories, but you've achieved almost 50% of your daily nutritional target for most of your macro stuff.
Is that pre or post workout?
Post.
Yeah,
it'd be too heavy.
Do you have anything before?
Yeah, I have an electrolyte drink with just a bottle with a scoop of electrolyte powder, and I chuck in some other supplements, some glutamine, arginine, beta-alanine. And the reason I have those is because I did some blood work to see what I was deficient in. And there's things like vitamin D, my omega-3s were low, B vitamins were low. So I take something called IM8 now, which is like a powder that's an all-in-one that's got everything in that you pretty much need. So it's sort of targeted supplementation. So that's something I'd recommend people do. Get some blood work, see what you... Don't just take supplements, because you don't know what you're deficient in.
Right, so my missus is going to listen to this podcast because she's got bottles out there of stuff that I don't know why she's got them. She doesn't know why she's got them, but she takes them.
It's very simple. Get a blood test, go on Thriver, or there's a whole host of other. Come to the post, do a finger prick test. A couple of weeks later, you get your results back. Then it will tell you, consider taking these supplements because this is what you're deficient in. And then you can look at, rather than trying to get a normal level, try and get an optimal level. Because normal in the UK, if you look at what normal is in this country,
Standards.
you do not want normal.
No.
Normal is overweight, unhappy, loads of debt. Don't aim for normal, aim for optimal. So that's why I have that for my breakfast, and that's my pre-drink or pre-workout drinks. It's the IM8 all-in-one shit, and then the electrolytes and arginine and beta-alanine as a bit of a pre-workout.
Cool. And then post as super breakfast.
That massive 1,000-calorie breakfast.
Yeah.
And my black coffee. Black coffee.
Do you manage to get that when you're travelling? How would you fit that in when you are not in the UK or at a hotel?
No, if I can get, normally in a hotel you can get Greek yogurt, mixed berries, normally. Some get seeds and stuff like that, chia seeds and pumpkin seeds. So I normally opt for that. There are times when I'll go for the fry up though as well.
Yeah.
So I apply that 80-20 principle to most parts of my life.
Yeah.
So I'm not a robot. I do like to go and have a beer. I do like to eat fast food. I've got a sweet tooth. So, but it's about picking your time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's real talk though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the everyday athlete, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah. So I necked a bottle of white wine Christmas Eve, but then got up, not too hungover, and went for a run Christmas Day. So it's balance, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So,
Tim, I thoroughly enjoyed having Tim here today on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Bloke. Yeah. Lots more stories, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll definitely have you back. Definitely, probably after Ironman Wales.
Yeah, I reckon we'll get you back a week after Wales.
Yeah.
There you go. On any injuries?
I don't think I'll be signed up for it again after. But thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah,
cheers.
It's been a real pleasure. Cheers, Tim.
Cool. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Thank you.
So, Tim, thank you for sharing your story. This episode has shown that you don't need to be perfect, but conditions make that progress. Just smart decisions, adaptability, consistency, and repeatability.
Yeah, it's been great, isn't it, Darren? I think Tim really encapsulates that everyday athlete, different habit stacking, using the calendar. I like that part. We're going to get you on that eventually. Listen, guys, if there's been some good insights in this podcast, please like, please share, subscribe and comment. And don't forget, let's be smarter than yesterday.